Welcome to Michigan in Focus. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for the Center Square. The state of Michigan Legislature has introduced 3 bills that would prohibit people from holding or using a mobile electronic device while operating a motor vehicle. With me is Tom Gantert, the Center Square Managing Editor, who has written a piece on this proposed legislation just this week. Will this impact you when you're using your smartphone and riding your bicycle?
Yes, it will. I will tell you this. When you ride a bike, you get a great insight to what people are doing inside their cars. And I've tried to estimate, I would say about 30 to 40% of the people I see on my bike are doing something with their cell phone. But let's start with, in Michigan in 2010, Troy became the first city to pass a law that bans the use of handheld cell phones while driving. So at least in some parts of the state, this has been going on already, for 13 years. And it's interesting to note that the first year the city did it, in the 2-year period, the number of tickets that they had for distracted driving went from 65 to 288. So this is going to be I don't want to say a money grab. It's going to be something that enforcement that's going to generate revenue. In terms of what the bill would do if passed, it does allow things such as using a device's global positioning system, GPS, or navigation feature, as long as the information is not entered by hand. So like I drive a 2021 Honda Sport Civic. I can attach my phone to my car, and the GPS comes up on a little dashboard in my car, and I can just follow it that way without having to use or look down at my phone. It's right at the dashboard. And it also, the GPS has a voice operated. So it's a voice that tells me how to drive too. But this is a newer thing. There's a lot of people who have older cars who are not going to have the technology to have that kind of access. So they're going to be stuck with using their phones if they want to use GPS. But the bill gets specific about what it does. So like you can use your phone if you're only using a single button press, tap, or swipe to activate or deactivate a function on the device. That means you can push accept and that's it. But the other thing is, it's like you want to argue that in court, it's going to come down between your word and what the police say. And as I'm sure many of us know, courts usually go with what the police say. It should be noted that the ban of handheld cell phone use has already been made law in 31 states and Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and Guam. So basically, the officer can give you a citation if you're using a handheld cell phone without any other traffic offense. So if he sees you talking on the phone, it's a ticket in 31 states. So I think it's a matter of time before eventually this becomes a national law.
What do detractors to this law think about this? I think civil libertarians might object to the fact that they're, texting and driving, definitely a no-no. Having quick conversation saying, honey, can you bring home a gallon of milk and a dozen eggs on your way home from work, and you're on the highway and you pick up the phone, or she texts that to you. If I were to pick up and read that text or do an audio text on that, would that be okay? And are civil libertarians okay with the fact that it might not be okay?
I think it's hard to argue that in favor of any kind of cell phone use when driving. And I do it. I drive and talk on my phone all the time. But in 10 years of driving, the times that I've had near accidents were when I was distracted. And not the one that comes to mind, about 4 years ago, I almost got in an accident. I was changing the dial on my radio, and I almost got in an accident. It had nothing to do with a cell phone, but it was distracted driving. So my whole point is, it's like, I like to think that I'm capable of knowing when I'm able to take a phone call and drive responsibly and not have government tell me yes and no. But there are times when I know I should know better. Okay. When I get a text message from somebody and I, respond to it, it's hard to argue for me. It's hard to argue that using a cell phone while driving is a responsible thing to do.
Sure. And I raised 2 teenage daughters, and I have 2 stepdaughters. It would make me tear my hair out that they would call me or call their mother on their way home and use their cell phone as they're driving through a fairly busy metropolitan area. That's just a recipe for disaster, especially for young drivers.
Especially for anybody.
But I mean, you're talking about, the difference between a seasoned driver and a person who's only been driving legally for a year and a half, 2 years. And you did talk to the Insurance Alliance of Michigan, and they definitely support these bills. And what did they have to say, Tom?
Yeah, just what everybody says is that it's better for everybody to put the phone away while they're driving. I mean, there's been studies that have shown that the percentage increase is astronomical when you are distracted and leads to more accidents.
What does the House Fiscal Agency think about this?
The House Fiscal Agency just laid out how the bill works, which is actually a really good website to go through and look at the specifics, because it gets complicated when you're trying to figure out what qualifies as a single button press or tap or swipe and that kind of thing. I was talking to some other people about this bill, and it's like, okay, so if I'm driving and I have to change where I'm going while I'm driving, and I put in an address to my phone so that I can look at it on my dashboard, is that distracted driving? And is that worthy of a ticket? Also it gets into things that, what if I'm in a traffic jam? What if I'm at a stoplight? And those things are not so clear, in terms of, from my reading of the bill, it doesn't make a difference if you're in a traffic jam or a stoplight. It says while you're operating a vehicle, So I could, theoretically, and this is where it gets into the gray area, I could be in a parking lot with my car on and typing in this information so that I don't have to do it while I'm driving, but still be in violation of the law, which is kind of technical, because I don't think there's any cops out there that are going to pull you over or give you a ticket if you're in your car parked in a parking lot. But the violation of the law, from what I read and what from other people read, technically, because you're operating the vehicle, and that's what their term is, you would be in violation.
Yeah, that's pretty loosely defined. As an old duffer who came to the smartphone pretty late in life, it's not second nature for me. So I have to pull over in order to use it, because I know full well that I would blow my focus trying to drive and operate a smartphone at the same time, whether for navigation or what have you. So, basically I just throw it to the side and just like, it'll wait till I get home, or if I am lost, I use my smartphone for that. I will pull over and won't turn my car off, but there you have it. So, I guess there are some gray areas, and I think I doubt very much if reputable police officers would actually breathe down your neck if they saw you pulled over into a parking lot using your cell phone.
Here's my final thought on this, because this is what I think it really comes down to is, how is the enforcement of this going to do? Are we going to see this as a money grab? Are we going to start pulling over and ticketing everybody who's got us on a cell phone conversation? Because I'll give you an example. So like around 2004, there's a very popular street called Main Street that goes out to the mall in Ann Arbor. And they had a left turn lane that people took to get to the mall, a left turn lane that had been out there for 25 years. Everybody took it. They made it, you couldn't turn left there anymore. And they had a little sign, blinking sign, 2 blocks before you get up to that, said, don't turn left there. The Ann Arbor police wrote hundreds of tickets the first week of that change, because people had been doing that for 25 years and they were all turning left there, and cops were just sitting there pulling them over time and time. We did a story on it. So it's going to be interesting to see if this is a revenue grab. Does anybody here really believe that police care if you wear your seatbelt? But they enforce it all the time. It's a huge revenue generator. And, when they give you a ticket, they say, well, we're doing this for your safety. And it's like, really? That's my thought. It's like, it's going to come down to how is this enforced if it becomes law? And eventually it will. Like I said, 31 states already have it. It's an eventuality that this will become a law.
Listeners can keep up with this story and more at thecentersquare.com. I'm Bruce Walker, Great Lakes Regional Editor for The Center Square. Please subscribe, and thank you for listening.